Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Art of Creation Homestead. My name is Jason. We're outside today because we want to talk about the importance of keeping data and records of your backyard chicken flock. It's just dawned on me today, something we've always done is to keep records, track how our girls are laying, okay? We've had these chickens for 8 years now. We don't have the first year of the first flock, okay? So we bought chickens 8 years ago, 6 years ago, 4 years ago, 2 years ago, and then this year. So we get them every 2 years, obviously. But we don't have the first year, but we do have every other year. So we have 6-year-old hens now that we have a record of every single egg they've ever laid. So what that does is help us to understand: do we like that chicken? Do we like that breed? Do we like that hatchery? And I'll go through that more as we go on. What I have here is our egg chart. Right here, it's a book that we just make charts out of. We make them week to week. We just use a ruler and ink pen, right, and go down through there and put our chicken's name on one side. And you see here, we just go down. This is Angela's kind of template she uses, and we just make a chart based off of this, and start on Monday through the rest of the week, and how they laid. And the weather. The weather really matters to how they lay a lot of times. So what we'll do there is we'll show who laid what day. Now we know who laid during the day because Angela's here during the day, and she's in and out, and she's seen the chickens lay the eggs. We know who was in which nest and what egg came out from under them, and we kind of track it, so we know what the eggs look like from each hen. And we have several different breeds, and so different shades, different shapes and sizes, things of that nature. So we know who laid what by looking at it. Obviously, it's not easy for a lot of people to know that. So what I'm saying is that if you don't know exactly which hen laid which eggs, then maybe you can kind of get an idea of which breed lays which color of egg or which shade of egg or whatever, and maybe you can kind of analyze from there. But somehow, some way, maybe you can figure out how to tell which ones are laying what eggs. I'll give you a couple examples of what I'm talking about. We've got 2 chickens that lay a green egg. Maggie and Madeline. And both those chickens lay a green egg. They're both the same age. They came from the same hatchery. Maggie's eggs are bigger than Madeline's eggs. Madeline's eggs are just under a large, or they're just a good medium egg. And Maggie's eggs are a solid large every time. Never any bigger, never any smaller. So we know we can tell them apart just enough. Maggie's eggs are a little greener than Madeline's eggs. Madeline's eggs are a little green to blue-green. Okay, so there's slight differences, and so we know by looking at them which one laid which egg. Now, obviously, it's not always that easy. Sometimes we do have a little struggle here and there, but we can pretty much deduce who laid which one. It's not very often that we even struggle with it. But this information is important because over the course of time, you can then analyze, like, for instance, when this chicken is going to start laying again after her molt. That really helps. Or, for instance, how much feed. You can even measure how much feed. You can keep a data of how much feed is on there too, by the way. You can say, okay, I fed them this much, I'm getting this many eggs in February. And April, their feed consumption went up, you can say. So it kind of helps you track how much feed you're using, how much they're consuming, and things of that nature as well. Another thing you can track on those egg charts is like weather. So what the temperature is, obviously, but was there a significant weather event? Was there 10 inches of snow? Was there 3 inches of rain? Did you have severe weather? Did you have windy weather? Extreme cold, extreme heat? All those things can affect your chickens laying eggs. Now, not every chicken does it affect, but if you track that, then you can begin to understand what is going on with your flock. Did this weather affect them? Did this weather not affect them? How they're doing in hot weather as opposed to cold weather? There's a lot of things that you can learn from collecting and storing the data from your chickens. For instance, Lily, this girl right here, Lily is a almost 6-year-old barn velder, double-laced barn velder that we got from a hatchery. The Postal Service mishandled those chickens when they were being delivered, so they spent an extra night in some cold weather that they really didn't need to be exposed to. So therefore, they struggled to start with. And Lily, the barn velder, is not a wonderful layer to start with. It's a mediocre layer, and as they get older, they're not going to lay as well. So which is natural, but barn velters are probably a little less than good as they get older. And so we have 2 of those barn velters. They're different. They lay different eggs, and we notice that. But we can then see how she's doing later in her life. Like this year, she's laid suspect. She hasn't laid in a little bit, but we're seeing that, and we knew that 2 years ago because her laying started decreasing a bit later in the year, faster than it had in prior years. So then we're starting to understand, you know what, this chicken's about done, so we're going to need to have a hen to replace her. That's another thing you can get from that data is, hey, when's this hen about done laying eggs? Because we've seen that, and we've noticed that like this data is helping us to understand this chicken, her laying is about over. You can see that in how she's laying. Now, she may look healthy, she may act healthy, but she's just not laying that many eggs. And also, typically, once a chicken stops laying eggs, they might have another year or 2 before they're dead. So you need to start kind of understanding that, hey, this chicken is on her way out physically. She's just going to be done. It's just going to happen that way. And so you start planning to have another chicken available. What chicken do I want to replace her? Am I happy with that breed? Am I happy with that hatchery? Did all this go well? What things what did I want differently from that? Or was that breed exactly what I was looking for? There's a lot, again, to learn from that data. Like this one right here, that's Tootie. Not only is she very talkative, she's also a very good layer. She is almost 4 years old, and she's been our best layer. We'll say from March through July, March through August, every year for the past 3 years. And we only know that because we tracked it. She's had multiple runs of double-digit days without stopping, without not laying an egg. She's a New Hampshire. If I didn't say that, she's a New Hampshire, and she's been wonderful. And tracking her laying along with our other New Hampshires when they're laying has helped us realize that, first of all, we love that chicken. We knew it anyways, but they're just great. They're super efficient, great birds that we're never going to do without, and so we buy them pretty regularly. So data that I find helpful to collect is how many eggs you got a day, which hens laid them, how many eggs you got that week, and also what was your weather like for that time. Was there any significant weather events? Again, hot, cold, windstorm, snow, whatever. Also, a significant flock event. Was there death in the flock? Did you have a predator attack or a predator scare even? Something that could stress them out. Because that does matter. Chickens are prone to stress. And also that helps you understand, did this chicken react poorly to this event, this flock event or weather event? Or did it not flinch and just keep laying? That will help you see, again, which genes, which DNA strands, which breeds in general are better for your situation. And the last thing that really helps when you're collecting that data is knowing when the chicken starts to lay that year and when they stop to lay for the year. Like once they've started back after the winter and after their molt, whenever that might be, and when they stop laying, when they're heading into their molt for the year. Those things are really helpful because it lets you know what you can expect. For instance, if we have a chicken who always stops laying in the middle of September, and we know that she's laid her normal bit of time that year, that she can pretty much stop laying in the middle of September, right? But we also know that maybe that same chicken is good to start laying in the middle of February. So we know we can expect her to start laying middle of February. For instance, we have an 8-year-old, almost 8-year-old, New Hampshire, that she's only laying 6 months out of the year. That's it. That's all she's going to do. She'll lay really well for those 6 months, but that's all she's going to do is those 6 months. And it's like middle of March to middle of September. She's solid every time. Like the last 2 years, been the same thing every year. Maybe the last 4 years. Just all she's doing is that. No more, no less. That helps you manage your eggs. Because if you're like us, you don't want to pay for any eggs out of the store. First of all, they're nasty. Second of all, you got chickens. Why are you having to buy eggs? So you're managing your eggs. You're understanding how many you got early in the year, and how many you need to hold on to later in the year. So I know that my chickens are going to start waning off. Their egg laying is going to start waning off, later in the year. So I know I need to maybe hold back on using some eggs. Maybe not make that cake that takes 6 eggs, right? Maybe not make pasta that takes 6 eggs. Maybe not do this or that, because we're gonna need more eggs for other things later. Managing your eggs is so important, and collecting this data helps you to be able to manage them appropriately. Or even if you're selling your eggs. If you're selling eggs, then you're gonna know how many eggs you can plan on selling, how many customers you can handle, right? That also helps. So all these things are really helpful, and if you're breeding chickens as well, and it's really nice to have that information so you know which ones you want to breed. All these things help. Collecting that data is really important to managing your flock the best way you possibly can. So thank you guys so much for watching. We do appreciate it. My name is Jason. This is Art of Creation Homestead. We love y'all. God bless you and goodbye.